వెల్కమ్ టు మై ఛానల్. ఇప్పుడు ఏంటంటే ఇంగ్లీష్ మనకు బాగా రావాలంటే మనం స్టోరీస్ చెప్పడం ప్రారంభించాలి. చిన్న చిన్న కథలు ప్రారంభించడం నుంచి మనం ఏంటి సినిమా స్టోరీ ఎలా చెప్పాలి. సినిమా స్టోరీ చెప్పాలనుకోండి, మీరు చెప్పడం అలవాటైతే మినిమం అది సినిమా స్టోరీ ఎలా ఉంటుంది, ఒక 2 అవర్స్ సినిమా స్టోరీ. మన సినిమాకి వెళ్ళామనుకోండి, ఆ సినిమా చూస్తే అది 2 అవర్స్ ఉండొచ్చు, 3 అవర్స్ ఉండొచ్చు. సో మనం ఇప్పుడు సినిమా చెప్పడం ప్రారంభిస్తే మీకు లాంగ్వేజ్ బాగా ఇంప్రూవ్ అవుతుంది. సో కాబట్టి మీరు సినిమా స్టోరీలు చెప్పడం ప్రారంభించండి, రైట్. సినిమా స్టోరీ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, నేను చాలా సినిమాలు చూశాను. నేను ఇప్పుడు చెప్పబోయే సినిమా ఏంటంటే పోకిరి సినిమా గురించి మీకు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయబోతున్నాను నేను. సో సినిమా స్టోరీ ఎప్పుడుగానే ఎలా ఉండాలంటే, మనం చెప్తున్నప్పుడు వాళ్ళు చూస్తున్నట్టే ఉండాలి. అంటే అది సింపుల్ ప్రజెంట్లో ఉండాలి, అంటే జరుగుతున్నట్టే ఉండాలి. ఇది కథ కాదు కదా. ఒక రామాయణము మహాభారతం మీరు చెప్పారనుకోండి, అదేంటి మనం పాస్ట్లోకి వెళ్ళాలి. బట్ సినిమా స్టోరీ ఏంటంటే వాళ్ళకు చూపిస్తున్నాం మనం సినిమా స్టోరీ. వాళ్ళు ఇప్పుడు లైవ్లో చూస్తున్నారు, రైట్. నౌ ఐ వుడ్ లైక్ టు సే అబౌట్ పోకిరి సినిమా. ఇన్ ద బిగినింగ్ ఆఫ్ ద సినిమా, హీరో మహేష్ బాబు స్టార్ట్స్ రన్నింగ్. సో ఈజ్ ఫాలోడ్ బై some friends, some gundas, they are following him. So what happens? Mahesh Babu, hero, he enters into one godown. Then gundas also chase him. They also enter into the godown. Then Mahesh Babu says, just keep the key with you. So what happens here? One gunda, he shuts the shutter. Then Mahesh Babu says simply, so at least you have to keep the key with you, or else something goes wrong. అంటే ఏమవుతుందంటే అతను ఒక వార్నింగ్ ఇస్తున్నాడు అతనికి. అతను ఏమంటున్నాడు, ఈ సేస్ అన్నాను నేను, రైట్. మహేష్ బాబు సేస్ అంటే ఇదేంటి, ఎలా ఉండాలి, సింపుల్ ప్రజెంట్లో ఉండాలి. ఈ సేస్, ఈ గోస్, ఈ కమ్స్, ఈట్స్, రైట్. ఈ ప్లేస్, ఈ డాన్సెస్, ఇవి ఎలా ఉంటున్నాయి మనకు, సింపుల్ ప్రజెంట్లో ఉండాలి. ఈ సేస్ టు ద గుండా దట్ కీప్ ద కీ విత్ యూ. బట్ వేరస్ వాట్ ద గుండా డస్, ఈ థ్రోస్ ద కీ అండ్ ఈ ఛాలెంజెస్ మహేష్ బాబు. సో దేర్ ఆర్ సమ్ డైలాగ్స్, రైట్. సో ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ ఈట్స్ ఆల్ ద గుండాస్. Last gunda is searching for what? Keys. Again, Mahesh Babu comes to him, right? He gives him a big blow. So that what happens? At last, the shutter opens. The shutter breaks into that and they come out of that. So, in this, Mahesh Babu name is Pandu. I think everybody knows this. So, next day what happens? Some more gundas come to him. They inquire, who is Pandu here? No one says, because they are having a cup of tea, no one says that. So, I am Pandu. So, Mahesh Babu simply gets up and he gives him a blow. He slaps him. Then he says, there is a dialogue, ఎవడు కొడితే మైండ్ బ్లాక్ అవుతుందో వాడే పండుగాడు. సో దీన్ని ఇంగ్లీష్లో చెప్పాలి. సో హూ ఎవర్ బీస్ ద పర్సన్ హిస్ మైండ్ గోస్ బ్లాంక్ ఈజ్ పండు, ఈజ్ నన్ అదర్ దెన్ పండు. దెన్ ద గుండా హిస్ మైండ్ గోస్ బ్లాంక్ అండ్ ఈ టేక్స్ ఎ రివాల్వర్. ఇప్పుడు చూడండి, ఈ టేక్స్ అన్న నేను, ఈ టేక్స్ ఎ రివాల్వర్, ఈ ఎయిమ్స్ అట్ గన్ పాయింట్, ఈ కీప్స్ ద గన్ టు ద మహేష్ బాబు. దెన్ వాట్ హ్యాపెన్స్ హియర్? So he has to follow, because or else that fellow will shoot him. Then he follows and he goes there. They go to the gangsters' den. Then what happens there? Just there is a bargain runs. Then Mahesh Babu says, they ask him, they give him, the gangster gives him an offer. So he says that what, would like to work with us? Meer mato pan chestara? Then he says, I'm a freelancer, I don't work for anybody. So what I want is share. Means what? Neekenta, nakenta. How much for you? How much for me? So then the gunda gets surprised, because this gangster rules almost all Hyderabad. So he is one of the gang members of Ali Bhai. Ali Bhai is the mafia don. He lives in Dubai. He lives in Gulf. So see, he operates from there. So what happens here? And Mahesh Babu says simply, he doesn't care all these things because he has guts to deal all these things. Then one fellow comes in front of him. What he says? He calls that fellow and he gives one blow. So his tooth comes out, it falls somewhere. Then what happens here? So what he wants to prove is, అతను చెప్పదలుచుకున్నాడు అతను, what he wants to prove is, so he has the guts to deal with anybody. Then the villain gets surprised. He says, okay, what do you want? He says the percentage. So they deal the percentage, and one more lady is there. She likes him a lot. Then she throws him a gun at Mahesh Babu. He takes the gun. Then what happens? So he reverses the gun. Then that lady asks, how can you reverse the gun? Then she says, when Mahesh Babu says, enti cinema చూడట్లేదు enti, he says. So they'll all get surprised, and later Mahesh Babu goes out. He has a big gang, right? So there is a song, and here he sees the heroine at one place at the railway station. He simply goes there and he reads whatever it is written on the t-shirt. Awesome. So he's not able to pronounce. He says, what is this? Then she says, it's awesome. Oh, then after seeing that heroine, he falls in love with her. Then he understands where he works, he finds out, he goes with her, he follows her. So at last he discovers that she works as an aerobic teacher, right, at one training center. Then all these his friends, they go there. Then they can find that what this one of his friends' father is dealing that entire yoga center, aerobic center. Then hero's friend's father calls him. So what are you doing, ra? You beavers. So all you fellows are roaming. So you don't do any work. Then he follows her. Later what happened? He falls in love with her and she also falls in love with him. So there is a train journey, metro, right? So always what happens? There is a train sequence. Daily he meets. One day he takes her number and he gives her number. And one day she bunks. Then always she carries tiffin box. Yes, what do you eat daily? Then she says upma. Then he says, అతను ఏమంటాడంటే ఉప్మా తిని బతికేస్తున్నారు ఆ ఫ్యామిలీ అంతా. సో ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ ఫ్యామిలీ మెంబర్స్ ఓన్లీ డిపెండ్స్ అపాన్ దిస్ ఉప్మా. Then it goes on like that. Then what happens after some days? There is a whatever the gang members do, this is mafia. So whatever they do, Mahesh Babu does all these things. One day, so opposite gang members comes there. Opposite gang member does one crime. Means what? He kills one enemy. He kills one realtor. Then there is a compromise between both gangsters. And what the opposite member says, I don't know alibi. That's why they call him. There is a meeting held in one den. So all the members, they go there, right? So they were talking to each other. Then Mahesh Babu says, 10 members are there. Easily we can shoot them and we can go off. Why are you thinking all these things? You just say, okay, I will shoot all these fellows. Then one of the other gang members, he gets angry. He comes and he picks up his collar. Then Mahesh Babu says, I am okay. You just say okay. Then after some time, he stands up and he shoots that opposite gang member. Do you understand? Then what happens here? So everyone gets shocked. So meanwhile there is a shooting. So these people, they kill all the members. They come out, right? He has become famous. So he gets the call from Alibai. Means what? Alibai knows all these things. He doesn't understand what is going on in Hyderabad. He comes to Hyderabad. He wants to meet Mahesh Babu. Means what? Hero. Because he has become sensational. Then there is a meeting in one pub. So there is a song. Then before the song only, Alibai meets Mahesh Babu. So there are dialogues between him. And Mahesh Babu says, it is not safe to stay here. You better go because police are looking for you. Then what happens? So he says that what? So he offers him something. So there is a bomb blast. Would you like to keep the bomb? Then Mahesh Babu says, no, I never keep the bomb. So if you keep the bomb also, I won't allow you to keep the bomb. Then he gets angry. Who gets angry? Alibai gets angry. Then after some time, suddenly the police come. They arrest Alibai. Then Alibai is put in prison. So police started harassing him. Means what? Torturing him. So there is an inquiry goes on. Then what happens? Alibai is a great influencer person. So his gang members does a crime. Means what? His gang members kidnap commissioner's daughter. So what do? They shoot. Something goes wrong. Then what happened? They gives a warning to commissioner so that commissioner understands and he releases Alibai. Then what happens? Meanwhile, Alibai wants to know who this fellow is. Then the commissioner's daughter in a different condition, she explains, one person is there in your gang, our policeman is there in your gang. Then he wants to know who the member is. Then he finds out, at last he discovers that, so he is the son of one CI, ex-CI. Then he goes there, he finds the CI, right? He gives him a warning. You just tell me, who is your son? He never says. And what happened? In a fit of rage, he kills Mahesh Babu's friend. But he thought he is the real son of that CI. But whereas he is not the real son, but whereas he is grown up there. At last what happens here? Then at last he says, Prakash asks him, so if you die, will you come here? He says, definitely will come and definitely he will finish you. So this is my last day of my life. So tomorrow is your death day. He explains. He forecasts. Then what happens? He shoots him. Next day, so they are waiting for who is coming, who is the gang member. Then when the funeral is going on, suddenly Mahesh Babu enters. Then Prakash and his gang members, they get shocked. They understand that what? They realize that he is an IPS officer, undercover officer. So Pandu is an officer. So they get shocked. At last, after a funeral, Mahesh Babu, what he does, he takes the old CI. So who harasses heroine's family? He takes the old CI. What happened? And he goes wherever Aliva is there. He goes to the place. He kills all the members. And before he goes, he explains to all his family members. Means what? He explains to heroine. He explains to his friends that if I come back, it's fine. If I don't come back, just forget me. Live your own life. He goes there single. He fights. And he kills all the gang members. He comes happily. The cinema ends. సో మీకు ఇప్పుడు అర్థమైందా? సినిమా అనేది సింపుల్ ప్రజెంట్లో ఉండాలి. సినిమా స్టోరీ చెప్పడం అనేది ఇంపార్టెంట్. చూడండి, మీరు సినిమా స్టోరీ చెప్తూ ఉంటే కనీసం ఒక 10 నిమిషాలు 15 మినిట్స్ పడుతుంది అది. అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది? మీ ఫ్లూయెన్స్ అనేది బాగా పెరుగుతుంది. మీ ఫ్లూయెన్సీ పెరగాలంటే మీరు ఏం చేయాలి? సినిమా స్టోరీస్ చెప్పడం ప్రారంభించాలి.